Hi. Like most slaves, not knowing their actual birth date was normal. Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey wasn't any different. All important documentation regarding slaves was with the owner. Records from his previous owner state that Frederick was born February 1818. He later states he chooses February 14 because his mother used to call him her Valentine. His mother was of African descent and his father was a white man, but he never found out who he was. In Maryland, in slavery, it was customary to separate the child from the mother early on, which explained why his earliest memories of her are only at night while he's sleeping. His mother died when he was 6 years old, and he was sent to the Auld family in Baltimore. Sophie Auld taught Frederick to read despite her husband's objections. He thought knowledge would only encourage blacks to want freedom, and Frederick never forgot it. After a while, Sophie stopped teaching Frederick, but it was too late. He started teaching himself, and when he turned 16, he was sent to Edward Covey, a poor farmer and slave breaker. He would beat Frederick and leave little time for the wounds to heal, until one day, Frederick fought back, and Covey never touched him again. He later meets a free black woman, Anna Murray, who gives him money and encourages him to gain his freedom. On September 3, 1838, Frederick dressed as a sailor, holding identification and protection papers. He boards a train and then hops on a steamer until he arrives in New York City, free. The journey took less than 24 hours and was incredibly humbling, leaving him speechless when landing on free soil. He immediately sends for Anna, and at 20 years old, he marries. They change their surname to Douglass and move to Lynn, Massachusetts, where he begins writing his autobiography. He is active in his community and starts lecturing about anti-slavery and the woman's right to vote. In 1845, he publishes the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass, an American slave. It became a bestseller within 3 years and reprinted 11 times. He spends 2 years touring his book in Ireland, Scotland, and England, and giving speeches against slavery. Immediately, he recognized how different it was for him and kept expecting to see hints of America, which never happened. In fact, in England, they raised funds to legally pay for his freedom. Feeling invigorated when he returned, he founded the abolitionist newspaper, the North Star, and starts writing. And in 1855, he publishes his second book, My Bondage and My Freedom. Now that he's a celebrity of sorts, he attends rallies speaking out against slavery and women's rights. And as the Civil War approaches, he feels blacks should fight to stop slavery. Lincoln agrees, and Douglass helps recruit black soldiers to serve in the Union Army. Lincoln is assassinated, and Douglass speaks at his funeral. In the Reconstruction era, the Democrats aren't happy with rights being given to African Americans and attempt to bring back white supremacy and take them away. His final book, The Life and Times of Frederick Douglass, is published, and he attends a meeting at the National Council of Women and is brought on stage where he receives a standing ovation. He returns home a little later and dies of a heart attack at age 77. The marker by his gravesite reads, escaped slave, abolitionist, suffragist, journalist, statesman, and founder of the civil rights movement in America. And I'll just leave that.